also a part of the larger automotive sector in the country. You know,
From ACM.com.
Alexa,
Center.
stop. And products can be surprising as well. So sorry about that. But as I said, e-rickshaws have multiple stakeholders. I was talking about traffic police. I was talking about the local automotive laws. There are certain, track width, speed limits, etc. All of that, which has been designed as per standard so that your product does not harm anybody else while it's being used. It has to be safe to use. It has to be better for the environment than what the existing systems are. It has to be manufactured in an easy way. Even the way the rickshaw has to be manufactured, your factory workers, people who supply the materials, people who give you the battery, the people who assemble the battery together, people who will sort of weld things together, your design has to think about all of them together. And that's why it's not an easy task. And there's no clear checklist in product design either. It's I won't call it an art versus science, but product design is a very, very meditative process. You have to delve in deep, look at it from all angles, and only then will you be able to come up with something new that the world hasn't seen. And the world today has seen a lot. We have gone through the industrial revolution in the 18th and 19th century. We've used coal a lot. We've then shifted to fossil fuels, diesel, petrol, and now natural gas, and coming up with solar based, etc. Now with social media, each and every design, each and every product is available for anybody to observe, to hear about it from another influencer, as well as something that they can access. In sitting in India today, you can import anything from around the world, and all products now have a global market. So the opportunities are endless, but also the challenge is not small. I, I, I do still want to sound encouraging because हम नहीं करेंगे तो और कौन करेगा? But do not take it lightly is what I mean to say. Product design is a very, very extensive process. I do want to bring up the point that since you are now at a stage where you've defined your problems, you've looked at what are the parameters which will make it successful in the market. Now, if you've done both of these steps, the third step to do is identify the existing products, even if they are in the same category or a category around it. So as long as you're able to identify such products, let's say we can speak of, I did review some of the proposals or the video pitches that you had. I remember this one where these kids wanted to make a product for the elderly that in case they fall, there will be an alarm sent out to their family members and also for somebody close by to be able to come in and see who this person is, have their contact information easily available so that they can contact them and that the person will be safe. Now, if you just take this simple product, which would on the face of it seem like there's not much to innovate, but if you just take this simple product, you have to understand the core problem that once you reach a certain age, beyond your 50s or 60s, your bones in your body sort of become a little weaker. And then any sudden change in your environment can put you off balance and you may fall. And there's a higher tendency that you may have a fracture or an injury, which you may not be able to recover from in a very quick fashion. That's the overall problem statement, right? So you want to be able to avoid certain such incidences. And in case these incidences have happened, the accident has happened, you want the first aid or the response to come in and address them quickly so that there's no delay there and the family or the concerned members can be informed in time and care then can be given in time. This is the area in which you are innovating. Now, within this area, you've identified your stakeholders. It will be the person who is senior enough and needs this device. He's your primary consumer. The customer may be the sons and daughters of this person who would want to sort of embark or imbibe safety into their parents' daily habits. And then the larger ecosystem, because you need to make the citizens aware that such a solution exists. If you've seen a person fall, you have to check for his ID or just a certain device. You need to hear for that sound. There are so many sounds around. What's that one alert sound that this device is making? So you have the citizens involved, and then you have the first responders, the ambulances, the hospital staff. You could think about everybody, and your design and your product has to be aware about all of them. So once you've done this, once you've identified the problem, once you've identified your stakeholders, the third step is to identify what will make your product successful. You know, this one solution that I just spoke about could be this one problem that I just spoke about could be solved in hundreds of ways. There is no one way to solve a problem. That's just the problem of keeping our elders safe when they are walking. Uh, is can be solved in multiple ways. Somebody could have looked at it from the perspective that let's have cameras all across our roads, all across our parks, and have AI built in so that with image recognition, they can monitor everybody's posture. When they fall, there's an alarm, there's a security guard nearby who can come and address them. That's one solution. Let's park that aside. There's another solution that you could use your cell phone itself with certain modifications where it's actively tracking and you're able to sort of respond to them quickly. Let's keep that aside. There's another solution where you have a small device, which is like an Apple AirTag. It just looks at your location. Has a speaker so that it can alarm people around, and it's very wearable. You don't need to carry it in a bulky fashion. This could also be a solution. Let's keep it aside. Then you could also look at the problem that, okay, so why did the elders have to go to an unsafe place to walk? And you could now think of safer treadmills, which are inside the house or inside a safe locality. Now this sort of idea has its own challenges. Okay, so if it was about treadmills, don't they need fresh air? Don't they need to see greenery? Then you could have solutions about creating a screen around it, a virtual environment around it, or even plants placed around a new treadmill park which can be set. There are so many solutions. While I just speak about it, constantly my mind is running about, okay, so which one do I pick? Now, how you pick these options is where this one technique where you need to define the success parameters of your problem of your product. If it is about this device for elder safety, the success parameters would be it has to be easy to use. It does not have to have some very, something to read. It should not take attention. It should be so ubiquitous that anybody who looks at an elder who has fallen can quickly remember what is he supposed to do. It should be so, we call it, so automatic. It should be so easy for me to understand what am I supposed to do just with that one product. Maybe he's wearing it around his ear, around his neck, around as a band on his head, which is more visible, as a wristband, as a watch. So these are the kind of things that help you decide which direction to take. Unless you decide on what parameters do you want to excel at, what parameters are important to your stakeholders, you will not be able to innovate to the extent that once you launch, it will be the hottest selling product on this website and you will eventually win the competition. For you to be the hottest selling product on the website, one, your product has to be able to grab attention because all you will get on that one screen is going to be one image and a small title and maybe a 5-word description, not more, and a price. Now, with these 4 or 5 things, what's the best thing? What's the best step to put forward? You have to constantly think about it as you gear up for your next step. In success parameters, the typical success parameters I spoke about earlier are affordability, ease of use, ease of manufacturing, adherence to local laws, sustainability from an angle of materials, sustainability from an angle of emissions, and future proofing. The longer life you have, the product is going to be better, and that's a by default. So define your product categories success parameters. Very, very critical. Do take a note of it because that's the next step that you're going in for. As soon as you've designed the success parameters, now go out into the market. And the market today is online. Go out online and look at other products which suffice that need that you are solving and somewhere have a tangible answer to these success parameters. Let's say you want to make a new phone. Now your phone could have, there are these known success parameters like affordability, screen size, processor, memory, AI, camera, megapixels, etc. These are your success parameters. Then you go out into the market and try and get your hands on each and every product that is out there. Now, when I say hands-on, it doesn't mean that you have to go out and buy always. With with the availability of everything on video today, you are able to experience it secondhand. You're able to experience it from another person's viewpoint and choose the right influencers that you follow, choose the right video creators that you follow who are able to speak the language that you understand, not speak to you as a consumer, but speak to you as an entrepreneur, as a code developer. So in that language, you will be able to understand that they will be speaking about those success parameters itself. Put that down on a table, try and see what are these successful products delivering on around your success parameters that you've defined. Then try and compare which one is the best so far and then create a new column which is blank at the start and define the product that you want to make. Unless you compare what has been done, unless you appreciate the entrepreneurs, the product developers, the designers who've done so much work in the last 100, years to make that product, all of that knowledge has been embedded into that product. You will not be able to create something new which is of amazing value that can be cherished by users. Yeah, give me a thumbs up if you understand it so far. Some reaction, some just to check if I'm audible, too fast, too slow. Okay. Yeah. So once you've appreciated competition, and that's a very, very important step to come up with a new product or something new of value, appreciate your competition. There is as as entrepreneurs, you may see it as competition that you don't want to engage with, don't want to give out your ideas, and that's okay. But as product designers, it's a Jagat Dosti sort of life. Each product designer, no matter if you work for a Maruti or a Tata or a Mahindra, they will all get together and have the similar challenges that they can talk about. So therefore, you have to appreciate what the other people are doing. That is where you'll understand the gaps where your product can shine the most. If you've been a part of any competitions so far where you're developing a product, one of the first questions that your judge is going to ask is, what is new about it? How are you better than competition or XYZ? Have you seen XYZ? Um, how are you better? You have to be able to answer these questions truly, you need to know your competition in and out. So as as product developers, you have to appreciate competition, and that's what helps you position your product in the value chain. Because there is space in the automotive market also. There's space for a Tata Nano to come in and grab the market. There's a space for a Maruti to come in and grab the market. Maruti can also extend their categories into four-wheel drives and Jimneys, and you have Mahindras of the world, Thars of the world, Mercedes of the world. There's space for everybody as long as there is a certain set of consumer who is willing to buy it, and consumers are present at each and every price point. Price point is one of the biggest differentiators today, and you have to capture it right. Now, once you have, I hope you've taken notes. First, uh, you are on a journey already. I call it something like a 6 to 7 step journey. The first step is defining your problem. I've seen that since you've shared your videos, you've defined your problem right. In the in the most common scenario, I would suggest do not move away from your problem statement at this stage. Pivots are okay, generally allowed in your entrepreneurship journey, but since this is a competition, I would suggest that you stick to your problem statement and you can maybe iterate on your solution for it, but do not completely change your problem statement at this stage. In fact, if I am allowed to say so, I would say that such approaches will not be allowed because they don't help. This competition is a part of your training to become a great entrepreneur as much as it's about identifying the entrepreneurship bug or the kida in you right now. So don't change your problem statement much because uh, it's you'll start the journey from scratch again. Everybody else would have moved on, and you'll just be very anxious and jittery. So in all totality, do not change your problem statement. Your problem statements map as to who our stakeholders are, what's the actual problem, how is it being solved currently. You have to be thorough, completely thorough about it at any given step. That's step one. Second step is define your success parameters. I hope you're writing it down. An idea and its success is a function of many variables. Each variable is unique to your problem statement and your product. It's called the product market fit, as people call it. But then while the product is fitting the market, there are certain dimensions and parameters that you need to be aware of. Do be conscious of them, sort of approach it in that fashion. If that serves you right, you'll be very sorted with the kind of defensive questions that you have to answer. The third one is appreciate competition. Basis these success parameters that you identified in step two. Look at everything that exists. Something as I spoke about, the problem of cleaning teeth. The problem is not just about making a new toothbrush. It's also about cleaning your teeth better, making lives better. So therefore, learning from the advantages of neem and babool based datun, all the way to looking at the most extensive and most sophisticated dentist products are all under your gambit. That's the value chain that you have to study and then compare on the success parameters. That's where you'll understand, okay, so this is the gap that I want to fill. And entrepreneurship is all about identifying gaps, filling them fast, making enough money to do this cycle again. All right. So remember that. That's point number three. Appreciate composition. Position your idea so that you know where you sit, what gap you're solving. The next step is you're creating your prototypes. Now, when you create your prototypes, there are two ways, primarily two ways that you can position or make your prototype. Any product that you see around you is a mixture of a core and a casing. Okay. When I speak of, in fact, at any given time, I have quite a lot of products around me. I want to take an example of this one product. Okay. It's a design that I worked with in China. It's basically a hand warmer. See, the outer casing is something which is in good color. I'll keep it in the center. It's in a good color, a good finish. It's a rubbery texture, and I'm sure you can't experience it. But there is the technology sits inside. Yeah? The technology has to be sophisticated enough that when this takes USB-C charging, it's able to stop it at the right time. It's able to take in high wattage of power. It's able to give you light, sound, good battery backup. Those are the technical parameters, but the casing is what the average consumer will experience for the first time. And that is when he will judge how much should I pay for it, you know? Such this I have close to about 7 or 8 different kind of models that I worked on for this one. This one is okay. This one is it looks more rugged. It looks like it would may be waterproof. It may be meant for military grade stuff. But trust me, on the inside and the outside, there's not much difference in both of these. This one looks like something that um, kids would like, or maybe young women would like this color. This is portable. This is a little more, it is bigger. Just by giving it a flap here, Just by giving it a flap here, I've sort of made it a little more uh, a little more waterproof, a little more water resistant, and it has its own pros and cons. So, as I said, a product is made up of a core and a casing. There are certain product categories where how it looks on the outside is what will appeal the customer. Let's say you are coming up with a new way to a new water purifier. If you go around and see all of these water purifiers, Aquafinas, Tatas, and all of these plenty of companies, you'll see that fundamentally they have the same shape. It's rectangular or a little boxy. It's a cuboid shape within which water inlet has to go on one side, power connection has to be on the other side. On the outlet side, you have clean water coming in from one place and the residue RO water going out of the other place. These are the four ways that your product interacts with the world. The rest of it is the designer's, ability to attract the customer, to be able to make it sound more premium, more low cost, more affordable. And as I said, there's space for everybody to exist in the market, right? So if I had to make a new water purifier, unless I am innovating in the core technology, I should focus on the casing part of it. There should be some newness in the casing. And just by sharing with your audience the outer body of your product, you will be able to convince them to sort of, give your product a try. They'll give you some money to sort of get your first sample. They'll try it out and then they'll recommend it to the other people. If your innovation is on the core, which is the PCB level or the AI that runs this product, etc., then your demonstration does not necessarily need to have a completely packaged product. It could be a display of that technology showing in block diagrams or in certain ways as to how it works in the backend. You know, let's say if I'm coming up with a new um, electric vehicle charging system, it has certain basic tenets. Like you need to have a charging gun, you need to have a way that the car connects to the grid. You need to have there'll be a thick wire going from your charging gun to somewhere which is stationary. Now, if you are talking about a low cost electric vehicle charging ecosystem, etc., which is running on solar, you just need to create a small prototype, something like a cardboard model or a finished, very well designed architectural model on how this will be looking in a space, because people have understood the underlying technology. You did not innovate on the underlying technology. You innovated on the business model or the kind of pricing or those kind of things. So people just want to see the outside, and they'll be convinced that, okay, well, what you're saying is something that you believe in and you will deliver on it. But if you came up with a new technology, which let's say just, you know, charges with a handheld battery pack, you can just connect it to your car and sort of charge it. It's a new form that people have not seen. At that time, you will have to demonstrate the core value add. Your minimum viable product will be technology led, where people really want to know, the technical people will really want to know how much current, what kind of materials, is it safe, kitni der tak chalega, etc., etc. So I say that again, when you're planning your prototypes or your demonstrations, look at your the product that you're working on from both angles. Did you solve the exteriors and the consumer facing end of it, which is where you need to be very, very precise and immaculate in the way that you present your products. Because if I was just talking about the concept of a heated power bank, I need to have the best painting. I can't have scratches or anything. It needs to be, I can't have, paint running in another surface. It has to be lovely to look at, because this is the only thing you have to appeal your customer. But if in case you worked on a core technology innovation, which is new for the world, then at that time you get to demonstrate just the core. Just focus on the place where you added value, And that is how you should plan your prototype. It's always good to keep a diary or a sketch pad along with you while you ideate on how it should look. Not everything has to be boxy, not everything has to be a case. One of the oldest casings, let me just remove my virtual background. Okay, uh, don't judge my background much, but this is one of the oldest casings. It's Usha sewing machines box that is given along with it so that you place your threads, needles in one place. This box itself is about 80 years old. I was sharing, this is also a casing. This is an aluminum part which has been pressed and casted together with a small PCB which heats it, which is embedded on into it. There's a black plastic part. You see the way products have evolved. Earlier products used to look like this. In fact, in India, still a lot of our electrical products and our approach is always very boxy, and that's why it doesn't look very advanced, because the way that this was manufactured, the kind of machines that made this happen, can only do so much. But there are much more advanced processes and techniques that the consumer has faced, the consumer has experienced, and therefore, with a new innovative product, he starts to expect that level of fineness. And therefore, if you're coming up with a new product, do not be shy. And see, when you're just talking about the casing, it's so easy to make this form. How would you make it? You could even make it out of soap. You could carve soap. You could give it a layer of putty, acrylic putty, and sort of, or an acrylic paint, make it shine like this. You see the difference between light pink and dark pink. This is a different material. This is metallic with a rubberized coating. This is rubber, silicone. And the reflection also shows that difference in material. You have till date not experienced this product, but just by looking at it, you are able to understand this is something that has to be handheld. It automatically speaks for itself. If it has a place to charge, it already means that it will have a battery inside. Okay. So these are the way that you can entice your consumer uh, in your advertising and when you make your posters, etc. All you need to show them is this. They don't need to know the PCB, the battery capacity, etc. All of those things are what will happen when you're manufacturing, where it takes a large quantity, etc. At this stage, your consumer is concerned with this, and unless your model or your prototype is aesthetic and appealing enough that they want to get it, they will not take attention. The way you describe this product in 5 words, unless that is speaking to them, speaking to their problem, they will not take attention. Okay. So two parts again. Sometimes products are successful because of the new casing, as I showed you two, three, in fact, I mean, that's around. Sometimes they are successful with their casing. Both of these have the same core technology inside, which is this PCB which heats, etc. If I wanted to say that, oh, I innovated and I came up with the first heated power bank which will help you in the winters to touch and feel, etc., then I would have totally concentrated all my efforts of demonstration on this technical aspect. So, so understand where have you innovated in what stage. If it's on the core, then you have to speak about the language of how do you define the success of your core technology. If it's about the casing, the way it's accessed, the way the business model is, the way it will be marketed, the way you're bringing in new people for it, a new use for the same product, then you have to basically get your casing right. It has to be perfected, and both of these are not easy tasks, but sure, I'm sure that you will get there. Um, for now, your your main goal is to look at that one website, the real estate that you will be allotted on that website, which is a page, and before that page on the homepage, you'll just get one image, some lines, some text, and some pricing, and that's the opportunity you have. And do make sure that whatever prototype that you click and put there is of the best value. Shot from the best camera that you have access to, could be the best, the right lighting, etc. It should look like the way your competition has been selling products for so many years. Okay, so that's about your prototype. It has to be immaculate. There is no space for, you know, भाई यहाँ से फेविकॉल उतर गया सर, पेंट में करके आया था, सूखा नहीं, मैं प्रेजेंटेशन के टाइम पे इट्स शोइंग फिंगरप्रिंट्स एंड इट्स चिपिंग. नो, this is a tough competition. Okay? Your half-hearted efforts will not work. And once you have made your product, once you've made the, okay, I was just shy with my background. It's too dirty. So once you made your product, once you made your prototype, and once you put it out, then is the step to be able to learn from it as to how it performs. It's called MRV, measure, report, and verify. What that means is you have to now plan the experiments which will define how well it performs. If you're making a new uh, scissor, I'm literally just taking products right in front of me. What defines a good scissor? The size, the ability to cut different materials, the confidence that it gives, where the shear will not sort of, get material stuck in the middle, uh, the kind of angles that it has, is it safe or not, how well I'm able to grip it, how does it look, what's the weight? These are its parameters, right? आपने बना लिया. If you made a new scissor and you put it out in the market, people will start using it. People will start using it, and when people have to respond on how good your product is, people have a very limited vocabulary. They'll either say, ah, it's good, and not more. They'll say, maja nahi aaya, and not more. And there's no vocabulary in which you can talk about these items to them, because as a whole, it's so hard to respond to a product. How good it is, it's, you can just say, yeah, it's good or not, or maybe something is missing, I don't know, but nahi sahi laga, etc., which doesn't help you as a designer, which doesn't help you improve your product. So therefore you have to craft your questioning, craft the experimental setup very, very consciously. If you have to take apart different attributes of a scissor and then ask your customer or the person that you're testing it with, sir, when you were trying to cut, did it feel like your arm was in the right posture? Let's say if you were looking at redesigning the grip, was it in the right posture? Sir, did you feel that it's too expensive? So then you're bringing in the element of just cost and nothing else. When you're looking at, sir, were you able, you are a leather bag maker, were you able to cut leather with it with the same confidence that you do otherwise? Was it a comfortable grip to hold? Were you able to use it for longer hours? You see, there are different parameters that I am asking my questions on. And therefore, you have to be very, very precise when you ask for feedback from people. It can't be an overall feedback ki, kaisa laga? That's the worst question to ask because there's no right, there's no useful answer to that. You are supposed to ask very pinpointed questions, things that you care about as in the answers that you care about, something that you know, what will you do, how will you change it. Those are the kind of experimental research questions that you should ask your consumers. I know that this is a very fast-tracked competition. You may feel like you don't have enough time to be able to visit different consumers to take their responses, but just be pinpointed in your questions. That way, you will be able to iterate faster. Design is a very iterative exercise. The more clear you are in your process, you will take lesser iterations to get to a successful product. Now, once you've learned, once you've iterated, once you've packaged it together, at that time comes your final launchpad idea. At that time, it's just one trick alone, which is your confidence in your product, in the hard work that you've put in. and there's no shying away from it. If you say that I made this new product, it will revolutionize the way that people uh, manage heat in the winters. They don't have to burn waste and create pollution. I give you a new product. You have to say it boldly, confidently, in a way that the other person will take attention. Just in this last 30 minutes, I've taken your attention towards this one product without even you knowing. That's the art of pitching. That's the art of showcasing. As designers, as people who are creating, you have to be extremely, extremely proud of the thing that you made. You have to make sure that it reaches the most amount of people, and and then the rest is up to luck, the market, the trends, etc. The financial success is up to the market, but the technical success is in your hands. And that's where I would like to close. I hope you learned something in this 40, 15 minutes or so. Me blogging. Let me, in fact, since I'm host again, let me open up the opportunity for anybody, any of you to speak. I'll try and remove myself from spotlight. And Mannaji, can you help? Are you there? Uh, Not done a large meeting group, participants.
We have Ankur three hand raised. Can we unmute them and no?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Tanmay, you have a question? Please unmute yourself.
So that I wanted to ask that like uh, we just have to take a problem statement, then we have to give a solution statement for it.
A statement alone won't cut it, right? Who is going to buy a statement? Who's going to invest in a statement?
No,
Your
like
pro
we have to we have to explain the people like the what's the problem and how we are solving it like that.
um, at the stage that you're in right now, you've already defined. You've given that pitch presentation, right? As in the video. Uh, so that has already defined your problem. You've picked that up. Your explanations wala time is gone. That was the opportunity that you had. Now is when you have to decide on your product pitching, where it is to be put up on the website. What will it speak? What will people see? What people will people buy? Or you have to create a, a presentation or a speech on why should people invest in this idea, where right now the product is not ready. Somewhere down the line it will be ready. Today they need to invest. Why should they invest? How big is the market? But that presentation then becomes your product.
So
And you
like
have to
what I
iterate.
should do like the people like my idea and like they think that
Tanmay, I will answer this query. Go on the website, go through the no page where from where like top 500 to 100. Everything is explained there. The video is there, how to make your product pitch. Okay, and you have to list your product on the kit company website, which we have discussed first thing in the meeting. Okay, just
okay
go
ma'am.
through everything. Everything is on the YouTube page, everything is on the website. Please go through properly. You are on the third stage of the competition. That was the first stage where you started with the problem statement and no the solution. That was the first stage you are talking about. We are on
And
the
there
third stage.
and there was merit in what you've presented in your stage one and stage two.
Yeah.
So just go with it, follow the instructions, apply, and then sort of give in feedback in the right minute.
And sir,
Okay,
how to take the
Abhiram,
price?
Tanmay,
What about
let
the
me take
price?
all of that is explained on the website. I'm not taking technical and competition related questions. Let me be clear.
Okay, sir.
I'm only talking about design process, just the process. Abhiram, yes, you've got my attention. Tell me. Unmute yourself.
Yes,
Satvik,
sir.
itne हाथ नहीं हिलाने. You also got my attention, but Abhiram, I just wanted you to be calm and chill. No, screen mat tod dena. But tell me.
Sir, I understand.
So my question is that when we sell our product, we have to sell on this offline. Sir, our the product that we are selling, that is offline. So how can we sell it through the online website?
Everything can be sold online today. Even aircraft can be sold online today. You just have to be creative in looking at how things work today. COVID, may everybody was inside, and the only way to interact was online. So uh, you're thinking too
You
small. Just be a little more free in your
you
thought.
people are asking the wrong questions, guys. Here, please ask questions related to designs only. Okay, no competition related questions. Please ask related questions. Okay, only on designs. Please.
Good
Yes,
evening, sir.
Satvik. Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, my doubt is that how do you understand your market? Suppose I have my market is for my age, students, kids, and younger. How do I understand the feelings of a 5-year-old, a toddler? How do I understand the feelings of an old person, a middle-aged man? How do I understand them?
Very, very good question. Uh, it comes with conversations and conversations only. You could be a bystander. Let's say, actually, you don't need to understand them. The question that you're asking is something very superficial. You can never understand a human being. But what you need to understand is just their behavior when they interact in the market. Let's say, when they go to a shopping mall, what is it that they look at? What kind of stores catch their attention? What kind of, when they enter the supermarket, which biscuit do they pick? And how do they decide which one? Did they pick a Parle G? Did they pick up a dark fantasy? Why so? uh, Observations, conversations, and your internal conclusions are the only way that you can understand the market. It was a very good question because you picked two extremes. You said 5-year-olds and middle-aged men and seniors. Both of these are people that you may not be able to hold a good conversation with. You are
Yes,
probably sixth, seventh, eighth standard, right?
yes,
Having those questions is not going to be easy, but just observing, having your mental understanding, okay, so why, maybe this is why he's doing this. And those maybes is what give you opportunities to design for. And with your question alone, I feel confident that you understood my answer. You'll be able to gun for it. I'll give uh okay, S Vijay, you wanna unmute?
sir, I have two doubts, sir. Sir,
About design and not about the competition.
yes, sir. How do I make the investmenters to believe that my product would be at top, or how do I make them this product will be good and get the investment from them, sir?
Is your product good?
Yes, sir. Our product is local urban app, sir.
No, but would you buy your product or use your product if you were the investor? Somebody new, let's say Ankur Raval came to you and said, "This is my product. Would you invest in it? Your money, you may have some pocket money, some 100 rupees also. Would you give that to me?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Sir, I think your idea would be good, sir.
Why? Just because I have a much or just because I have a white background? What? What made you feel like you could invest in my idea?
Sir, because you could have experience.
Mhm. What else?
Sir,
What if
experience. I think your idea would be good, sir.
What more? As in, okay, so let me speak about this one idea that I showed today. You following me, Vijay? Would you invest in this idea?
Yes, sir. According to its design and its size and shape, I think it would be good product, sir.
So it was appealing to you visually as well as the way I communicated it as to what it does. I tried to do that very clearly. I tried to show you how the world is so sad when this product did not exist. But when my product exists, sir, it is the best world that there can be. You saw the confidence in the way I said it. I was thoroughly clear with what I'm saying. I wasn't lying. I was totally honest with what I'm claiming. These are the tenets that a judge or an investor looks for. In addition to this, there are certain things that a typical investor would look at, which is how big is the market potentially? Okay. Like if your product is very, very niche, even that has a market. But how big is it? Even if it's Just 1,000 people in the world, if let's say you were making oil rigging drilling machines, there are probably only going to be 50 companies in the world who can buy it. So it's not that the size of the market is just the number of people, but it's also the depth and the uniqueness that you bring in. Because an oil drilling machine is going to cost millions of dollars, and even if you sell one in a year, you'll be set for life. So uh, just when you ask this question as to how do I make my product more appealing to an investor, just assume the position of an investor. Try and see if your pitch, the one that you've recorded, is it appealing enough that would you invest? Or if you feel that there's a lot of bias, कि अपना product को, how do I say, ask your father to invest. Ask somebody who's not connected to your neighbor. Show them your pitch. Ask them what would make you invest in it. Then rewrite the pitch, re-record the pitch, do it again and again till you are confident, till you are able to get some money without this competition itself. Then you come to the competition and then you'll see that you may be better than the rest. I hope that answers your question. Alvira Said.
Good evening, sir. Sir, can you guide us a little on how we can identify our USP and how we can like communicate it well to the users?
Uh, you've identified a problem already in stage one. You have pitched about the need to solve it. It is very clear with your jury, and that is why you progress to stage three. Just try and understand whatever category that you're working in, what makes a product in that category successful. There may be some existing products which are working well, some existing apps, solution, website, which are able to get the most number of unique visitors, are able to get a community together. Um, you try and understand why they work, map it, and see what is the gap that you're solving. What is the gap that what if let's say you wanted to create a new social media, what is it that Facebook has not covered? TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, any of these. What is it that they have not covered and which is still there is a demand in the market? And that is the gap which will be your USP. And what was the second part of your question besides USP? Okay.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, we are creating a social media app, so you were on pinpoint, right? So, sir, the next question was how can we like communicate it well to the users? Like how we can say this is different from the others? How can
You
we make
don't
that point?
you don't say difference. Difference shows. So you have to find a way that you can make your audience experience the app. If you
Yes, sir.
are if you're building something which is directly better on a certain attribute to an existing giant like Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, whichever, you have to show it side by side. There are multiple ways to communicate. Then this becomes a class on communication. And look at how do you communicate your ideas better. But just if you think about the USP, what is it that makes you better? You'll be able to find a way to communicate it.
Okay, sir. Thank
Good
you.
question, though. Yeah. Sonit.
Sir, what should be our website design? It should it be just too simple or just too fancy? So if it would be too fancy, the people won't believe that it is a true website, not a fraud.
No, good question. Because unless you show that you've done so much work, people may not find it exciting. They may be like, बस दो slide बना के आ गया है." Right? I hear what you're saying, but your website is just a way that your consumer is going to interact with your product. There must be some services inside, right? Maybe they're logging in, they can connect with each other. Whatever is the service that you bring on your website, it has to be clearly communicated. It has to feel like, it's the best thing that he could do with his time, with his money. This is the best place that he could put it. So, and look at other websites. That's why I emphasize so much on learning from competition. How do they do it? How do they make it appealing? Why does it work? Those kind of questions already answer your questions internally. Driksha.
Good evening, sir. So my question, I technically have a lot of questions.
So first of all, when you
One only. What's the most pressing question in your mind? You take a
okay,
second, think
so
about it. I'll come back to you. I'll take one more question till that. But one pressing question which you really, really want an answer to related to design. Uh, Satwik, we've spoken to Abhiram. We've spoken with you. And Soumyadeep.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a question that what should be the approach for designing a product that addresses both the current market needs and future trends? Yes.
Uh, good question because current market needs may be very simple and very immediate, but then if you have a vision on what the world would be like with your product in the market in the future, you can't wait for the future to happen because you will need time and money today to be able to survive, iterate, test, develop, and therefore somewhere you have to make a product roadmap. A roadmap is, Zomato is not the way, as in the way Zomato is today was not the way when it started. It was a simple sort of a calling based function, and then menus came in, apps came in. It keeps developing. So solve for something today, keeping a little future vision, something which you feel should be there next year or something like that, because then you have a year to be able to test the market, read the market, educate them, and then they'll be ready for the kind of products that you want. So it's a tricky question, not a simple answer, but future readiness is what will take you through, which will sustain your business. But to start, you do need money, sales, etc., which will only happen if it's a today relevant product. So it's a mix of both. Satvik, I've answered your question. Let's give other people a chance. And I'll come back to Diksha, you ready? Hold on 1 second more. Anessa, you first.
Good evening, sir. So my question was, as you were saying, either product is reliant on core or its casing. So how am I supposed to advertise for a product that is more reliant on its core? To people who are normal people like laymen, they will also be intrigued in that. Not only people who search for products just to test out its technology. How am I supposed to reach a wider audience? Because the problem that I'm trying to solve is a worldwide issue.
Well, that's a very, very good question. If it's a normal consumer, then the casing, as in how it and casing is not just about hardware and what the exterior is, right? Your casing is the website front end, the UI, the user experience is your casing. The core is the backend technology, your SQL functions, your algorithms, your sort of database management, etc. All of that is your core. Now, when I was speaking about this competition, it is about pitching your product, getting it traction, or raising investment. We are talking about from this perspective. In this perspective, you have to put your best foot forward. Which part of it, core or casing, do you feel is the most unique, the most appealing, has the biggest traction? Whenever you discuss it with somebody, they take attention of that part. Try and keep pitching your ideas and testing it with laymen on one side, technical people on the other side. With that experience, you'll already understand what works with your audience, and you'll be able to make it. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Driksha, yes.
okay, so sir, my question is that as you talked about that if we aren't able to develop the exact product, only the base idea would be enough. But as my product is in the category of entrepreneurship, so I have a problem to sell the product, or I won't get, or I'll lose some of my marks. But my base idea, it is about safety, basically for women, but even males can use it. And if I think it as a way that if I was the customer or I was the one investor in that idea, I would surely invest in it because it's something that will assure me about my safety. And if I look at other products, my competitions related to this category, there are products, but all of them have
one thing that my product has all in three:
Mhm.
a proximity sensor, location sensor, and heartbeat sensor. All
So,
three.
so your question is,
How do I, how will I, if, is it necessary for me that I have to build a complete product, or a base idea can also work
see,
with me?
just saying the fact that you have three different kind of sensors, whereas the competition has one or two, I just by hearing it, I'm not convinced that yours is better. Sensors alone don't do the trick. It's the experience of using it. It is the advantage. Maybe, sometimes you don't speak about the core, you don't speak about the casing, you don't speak about the product. You can also speak about it from a case study. Let's say Shanta Lalji, who's 86 years old, she was walking in the park. She's a user of my product. She happened to fall down, or maybe she had some harassment in the park. She was able to raise an alarm. The nearest police guy, whose name is this, came in. He spoke with her. Everything was settled. The miscreants were caught, and that is where it fits in. It's a communication game uh, in terms of when you're pitching. Uh, so, how easy are you able to make the process around safety? Safety for learning about how to market safety, how to make a product for safety, learn from antivirus programs and softwares, how do they pitch it, what are the kind of words they use, what are the kind of fears that they tap into, and what are the kind of programs that they have, around it. Learn from the category of safety. Safety is a huge, huge category. Fire safety, automotive safety, the way seat belts are pitched, the way all of these is where you can learn from. Okay? You'll
So,
get there.
sir,
That's the category.
yes, sir. So, if whenever we are interviewed,
One question alone. But I hope this is critical. If you feel that it'll help everybody else, go ahead and ask.
yes, sir. So, about the consequences that all of us might be interviewed or asked about in future about our products. So if there's a consequence that there's a variation that we thought about, but we didn't knew at that time about that consequence, and if the person interviewing us knows things about the consequence and asks us about it, how are we going to reply to that question?
No, that it really boils down to how well you have experimented. In total, there were 6 steps that I spoke. I don't know if all of you have taken notes. First was knowing your stakeholders, mapping them out. Second was knowing your success parameters. Third was appreciate competition, map them on those parameters. Fourth was creating your prototype in the best manner possible, core casing, conversation, etc. Fifth was putting it out there, taking feedback from people in a structured manner, precise questions. More people experience it, more people give you feedback, the more trained you will be to handle tricky questions. And the last point is confidence.
Okay, sir.
All right. Uh, Satvik, Abhiram, both of you have asked questions. Tanvi. I'm only going to take 3 more questions, and that's Tanvi,
Okay.
Akshi and Parv. I hope that's Akshay, but okay, Akshi. Tanvi
Okay.
first.
Good evening, sir.
Hmm.
Okay, so basically, our target audience is farmers or more like a local level, villages, right? So, how do I recognize what would appeal them? Like, how can I recognize the appealing points of my product and showcase it in a visual way that would obviously there are key points of how it works, and but showing it visually is a different psychological thing that would attract people, right? So, how do I recognize a simple product? And it's like,
No, that's a good question. As in this basically you're saying that this is a tricky audience to communicate to. But there are two parts to the answer. One is you have to first experience your product, experience the life of a farmer a bit, try and see how their life is without your product. What advantages does your product actually give you, not theoretically or hypothetically? This is a market which does not buy dreams. Farmers
mm,
buy real stuff like seeds and manure and fertilizers. They don't buy, dreams like, climate change हो जाएगा, you get me? So so you have to be precise, but then if you want to learn about how to communicate to farmers, look at how tractors are, tractor advertisements, fertilizer advertisements, manure, etc., seeds. You look at local newspapers in farmer-centric areas like UP, etc. उसमें आपको वो सारी ads दिखेंगी जिसमें आपको clear रहेगा what kind of tenets do they look for, what kind of parameters speak to them. That will help you. Okay. Akshi. You didn't unmute, Akshi. Yes.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Sir, thank you for mentioning our idea. We would ensure that the outcome comes. Sir, I have two questions. One is, sir, our design.
One question only. I'm muting you again. Take a minute. Think of the one question that you want an answer to, and I'll come back to you. I won't leave you around. Parv,
Sir, what does a user look for in a website?
what's your favorite website?
YouTube,
What do you look for on it?
videos that I like to watch.
Any other website that you like?
Oh, mainly YouTube.
So how do you expect a user to go to anything other than YouTube or Google? In today's date, we have restricted the number of websites we take access to. So just pinging your idea on a website may not be enough, because whatever you speak on your website, you will have to make it into a video, share it on YouTube. You will have to make it into a reel, share it on Instagram. You will have to make a tweet, and because those are the places where people have given their attention. So to your larger question on what makes a website appealing, it's utility. If it's able to give me what I log into it for in the quickest, easiest, most appealing fashion, then that website is good for me. So, okay.
Yeah, Ankur, let's it's 8:35.
No, that's my last question that I'm taking.
Yes,
Actually, I told him
yeah,
to sort
please.
of refine it. Just the
Yes.
last question, I hope. In fact, all the others are repeat faces. Rishabh, I do extend the fact that you can message me your question. Okay. But this is the last question. Akshi, yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, our product is lacking of furnishing due to funding concerns, and sir, we are also having exams, sir. So due to that, we could not furnish our product fully. So how can we manage it?
Okay. So you're saying, sir, time kam bacha hai, so many things to do. How do we do it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How do we manage it?
Just time management, less sleep. There's no short answer to it, or a quick answer to it. You will have to follow the process. Just do things with more diligence. Try and get feedback faster so that you can sort of hop, skip, and jump certain stages. But
And sir,
it's a long process. You can't jump it too much. If you've some constraints have made you lose time, you just have to work harder, spend more time on it as compared to the others. Only that is what will keep you competitive. Okay, I hope
sir,
that answers your. Uh,
yes, sir.
we'll keep it to that. If I think the rest of the question is more about the competition, I'll let Panna ji sort of answer it tomorrow. One last one, Rishabh. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, the as you said,
Of the public. So the problem is our product is for the government sites. Like only they can like it's a product which will be fitted in water pipeline. So only the government could do that. So how will
No,
we take
B2G.
the feedbacks of public?
Uh, when you take feedback, you look at your consumer, who's your last consumer. If there are people who are going to do the meter reading, etc., or something, then you have to speak with them, what makes it easy for them. But then mostly your customers' feedback is very important. If you feel that you've not been able to find good people to respond to your questions, or maybe the Jal board, etc., is too hard to reach out to, just write an email to them, or go to your nearest hardware shop, ask that guy what makes a good meter. This is what the change I have made. Do you think that it will do well in the market? That's the way to do it. If you had time, then you could just draft the concept note, put it down in an email, send it to the nearest Jal board or even to the Ministry of Jal Shakti. They do respond, but that needs good amount of courage and clarity in sort of writing it, because otherwise. But as a student, let me tell you, all doors are always open to you. It's a thing to all of you. Uh, Mostly, you will never hear a no from anybody when you speak about innovation and new things. That's the power you have. Do exercise it. Go ahead and ask n number of questions to anybody. Just like today, we are loss of time, but they will answer sometime. If your question is good, if it catches their attention, they will definitely answer. So I close it
Let's
today.
close the session. Thank you, Anku, for joining today. And thank you guys for joining. Let's end the session. If you have many more questions, just ask Shivesh sir, or you can ask me. I can forward it to Anku sir. He can answer accordingly.